Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video after seeing The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 5. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts first on whether or not we think Rick will ever return to the original Walking Dead television series. Alright, and spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 5 yet, you definitely gotta watch it. You know, one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead ever, no question about it. So for this one, this is the next most common question people are asking right now for Walking Dead, is when will Rick return to The Walking Dead original television series if he does? So the question for this one being, will he ever return to the Walking Dead television series? I think it's a better question because they basically said, going into this episode, that this was his last episode in the Walking Dead TV series. That we would not, basically going with that last episode, final episode, that we wouldn't see him again as a series regular in the Walking Dead canon television series. But he still, of course, is alive in the Walking Dead universe, and they've confirmed the 3 movies that he's going to be continuing in. So here's kind of what I think, or what we can how we can look into this. According to the contracts, or what was kind of released online, or what was kind of let out there with regards to pay, it sounds like Andrew Lincoln got about $11 million for The Walking Dead Season 9 for 5 episodes, right? Which is awesome. Good for him. That's awesome. It's amazing. So once his contract ended, it sounds like, for the first part of The Walking Dead, which went up to the end of Season 8, once his contract had ended, they re-signed him for 5 episodes of Season 9, but that was it. That's all that they were able to basically re-sign him for, from the sounds of things. So with that being said, they're going into the idea with the movies. Has he signed contracts for the movies already? I would tend to think so, and they would probably be, a higher pay level, I think, for Andrew Lincoln and for what you'd be looking at. So the question of whether or not he will ever return to the original Walking Dead television series is really a tricky one, because it involves not just the story, the creative story of The Walking Dead and what makes sense for the characters and everything, but it also includes the contracts and how much is AMC willing to pay? Are they going to be able to commit to pay $2 million an episode for every episode he's in, or $1 million, or whatever? And can they agree on terms to that if they decide they want to do that? Because right now, of course, the information that we were given is that Andrew Lincoln wanted to leave because of his family and that whole thing. And for sure, that definitely makes a lot of sense. But if he is to come back at some point to the original Walking Dead TV series, it brings in some questions like, how does that work with the movies? How long will it take for them to do the movies? Some people have said, like AllWordzAreMadeUp said, Trev, I figured it out. The movies are going to play in this 6-year time jump. So basically, between the episode 5, the ending of episode 5, or right at the ending of episode 5, basically, to episode 6, you have a 6-year time jump. So the group of survivors, they have not seen Rick, so far as we know, for 6 years. Or, that's a long time, right? So, there's some questions that come in with that. Why did he never return in those 6 years? Why isn't he back in episode 6, right? How does this whole thing work? When will the movies take place? But if AllWordzAreMadeUp Voidz says that the movies are going to be 3 movies taking place during that time skip, during the 6 years, then that certainly makes a lot of sense. But it doesn't fit entirely with why he didn't return, so we don't see him back right away. So we're going to have to see how that whole thing works out. The time skip is pretty crazy, because when you think about it, they literally skipped more time than we have even seen in the TV series. They skipped more years than we have seen them live for in The Walking Dead. That's how far they skipped ahead. They skipped ahead further in one episode, or at the end of an episode, than what we saw across the journey of Season 1, Episode 1, all the way to Season 9, Episode 5. They literally just skipped over more ground in terms of chronological time than we just saw. So will Rick ever return to the Walking Dead TV series? I think he will at some point, But, with regards to the contracts and negotiations and that, would he want to sign, how these 3 movies are going to go? Because, if the movies take a while to do, and before you know it, he does the 3 movies, but it takes, many years to do them, like at least 3 years, like a year per movie, I think is easy to say. You're probably looking at more like 2 or 3 years per movie for what it takes most movies to do. Now, TV movies can be a little bit easier to do than the full theater release ones. But they did kind of say that that's kind of what they were looking at, with something like big full feature films. So if that's true, Rick is going to be locked up in those 3 movies. Andrew Lincoln probably for the next 5 or 6 years. If you're thinking of it like that, or at least 3 or 4 years at one movie a year. So probably more like 5 or 6. So the thing about it is, like, we're in season 9 now. Season 10 will be next year. I don't even know if they've started working on the movies yet, or how far along they are, or when he's going to return to film the first one. We don't have any of that information yet, so far as we know. So I think personally, just from breaking this whole thing down and all the information that's been out there, we probably won't see Rick back in the Walking Dead TV series, unless it's like, I don't know, man. It's going to be a while, right? This is not going to be, I think, like a season 10, or some people are predicting 11. It's like, not if they're doing the 3 movies, unless they're doing the movies in between of the regular show. And I don't think they can do that, because this whole thing kind of came about because it sounded like he wanted to be, back home more often. And he could probably do that with the movies. If he was doing both a movie and a show, that would be even more work than what he's been doing. So that doesn't fit in line with him taking a break and going back and being with his family and that kind of thing. So I will do a prediction. I'll say that with 3 movies, 2 years each, it won't be, if he comes back, unless it's just for a hallucination scene or like one of those type of scenes. He could do something like that. But in terms of us seeing him come back as a series regular where he's in every episode for a season, I wouldn't expect to see that until like season 15 or something, or 14, like a while from now, like 4 or 5 years, if we even get there. See, that's another problem too. If The Walking Dead lasts to season 14 or 15, so I hope that's not big time downer news. I think it's just it's just logic based on how long it takes to do movies, and if that's what they're doing with him, maybe what makes a lot of sense to it is that maybe his pay grade right now, or what they would have to pay him, is so high they could really only do it in movies and have it work for his schedule and everything, and they can't really have him come back as a regular where he's in all of, let's say, season 11. He's in every episode, or 10 out of the 16 episodes in season 11. So, something like that. So we'll see how they work the whole thing out. But based on the information we've been given, I'd say it's going to be a long time, at least 4 or 5 years, I think, before we can even really start to consider him to come back into the Walking Dead series, because by that, it will take that long to do all 3 movies, unless he comes back for a season in between or something weird like that, which would just be crazy to see. You would think that they would finish the movies first before he returns to work on the series as a regular, if he ever even will, which, who knows, maybe he won't. But at least we've got to see some important character moments there. Maybe it'll be in the movies. Maybe you go the other way. Maybe you have some of the Walking Dead crew in the movies, like you have Michonne in one of Rick's movies or something. I don't know. We'll see how the whole thing goes down. But leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this one. When do you think Rick will return to the Walking Dead TV series canon, or that line, that timeline, the series be in the Walking Dead TV series as a regular, if ever, or just as a hallucination sequence? What do you think? How long it will be? That's what I'm going with, like 5 or 6 years from now. Yeah. If ever. And the other possibility is maybe he never will, right? Except for, like I said, special guest appearances, for an episode here or there. But don't expect for him to be, a regular series character running through, each episode like that. I wouldn't, that's for sure. Unless they cancel the movies, which I don't think they'll do either. CursedXploit says, why did it feel like a season finale for episode 5? Man, it almost felt like a goddamn series finale. You know what I'm saying? Like that episode there, when you watch that episode through and you see like the Judah thing after and all that, it felt like a whole series finale. Forget season finale. Yes, I agree, season finale, but even more so, a series finale. It felt like this is the end, right? And Rick even kind of says so, right? It feels like the end. It's like, or as Michonne read in the book to Judith, the end. It's like, yeah, man, it does feel like the end of The Walking Dead as a whole. And then what we're seeing now is a new version of The Walking Dead. Again, will be minus Rick. So really crazy stuff. But I love the episode, man. It was amazing for sure. TrevQ's Finest, Trev Q&A with a 6-year time skip. Do you think that they will show Maggie leave, or will she just be gone? And I think she'll just be gone. I don't think they'll show Maggie's leave. If they do, I don't know how you could, how do you explain, so after the events happen where Rick is basically killed from their point of view, so far as they know, they don't think he's alive right now. They probably all think he's dead. I would think that Maggie would probably, leave of her own accord, considering that what happened with her and Daryl was kind of, it affected what happened with Rick after. Now, how much will the others know about that? How will that whole thing go down? Well, they're going to skip the whole damn thing. So, we're not going to get to see the events right after Rick's death or what happens right after. They're skipping that all. So, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We'll see. We'll see how it feels with the new version of The Walking Dead coming here in this weekend coming up. As crazy as that sounds. But I don't think they will show Maggie leave after the time skip. I would think it probably would end up being before the time skip. Otherwise, Herschel's going to be like a little boy at that point. He'll be like 6 or 7 years old, and that would just be, I don't know. I just think I tend to think they'll skip it over, but who knows? We'll find out. I'll put it this way: if she isn't in episode 6, then I don't expect to see her, until next year if she even does return, right? If she even does. Rina says, "Hey Trev, I'm excited for the scene I'm excited for the scene when Negan is told that Rick is dead. Can you tell us how you think that will play out?" Well, you might not even see it, so don't be too excited for it because they might have skipped it. You know what I mean? So they might have just skipped it. I hope that they can kind of explain the time skip at the beginning of the episode or something. There are a lot of things that after Rick is killed you might want to see. But with that amount of time in between, I wouldn't think that they would. They've got to address it in some ways, but it's just such a massive time skip in terms of natural communication. When something happened 6 years ago, it's not usually top of mind. I mean, unless it's something it's defining, so you remember the day Rick was killed or whatever. But at the same time, it's just like, how much will they reflect on it in that episode? Because it's literally, 6 years later at that point. So we might not see, Negan or the others react to it or respond to it at all, as crazy as that sounds. Hunter Keane says, they better address the fight between the Oceanside and the Saviours. I am keen to know what happened there, not just what happened to Rick. Well, sorry, Keane, but I don't think you're gonna get to see it. Maybe in dialogue, they'll just talk about it real quick, something like that. I don't know, man. How this whole thing is going to go is just big-time question marks for me. Mr. Loserenz says, "Hey, Trev, do you think they replaced Rick and Carl with Michonne and Judith because of this whole equality feminist movement?" No, I don't think so. I don't think they went no. It's just the way things went. I think it's just how things went down, with regards to everything they were doing, the contracts and whatnot. It's not the same with a TV series version as a comic. There's a lot of different aspects to this. You get agents, you get negotiations, you get contracts, all this stuff, and then people just get burned out over the years too when they're working like crazy. You get tired after many, many years of doing that. Terry Wilson says, Trev, what's the story behind Maggie not being in episode 6? I can't believe that we won't see a transition episode like we saw for Rick. That's weak. Well, so far as we know, but then again, they could include some stuff at the beginning of the episode, and I kind of hope they do. Maybe, wouldn't they throw a funeral for Rick or something like that? Maybe a montage would be okay if they did that, and see time pass or something like that. I don't know, but they'd have to do something. It's just crazy to see, like so much just happened, and now we're just going to jump. We're just going to forget it all and jump ahead. Well, maybe not forget it all, but we're going to jump ahead like crazy, right? So it's kind of nuts. Joe B says, does Jadis and the helicopter people think that Rick is bitten? B, they're in for a surprise. So that's a good question, right? The A and the B thing is still still debated, right? Some people thought alpha beta thing, alive or bitten. Maybe she did think that he was bitten, but I'm sure when she helps him get in and everything, she'll realize like it's not a bite mark, it's a rebar mark. So crazy stuff. TDM 281995 says only The Walking Dead can do 2 time jumps in one season. Well, I got news for you, dude. They didn't just do 2 time jumps in one season. They've done 3. They did the time jump going into the year, which was like a year and a half. They did Maggie after episode 1 and episode 2 after she healed instantly because of Gregory and the whole fight and the whole thing that went down. There was a time skip from there to episode 2 with what to do about Earl. And then there's another time jump now for the 6 years. So literally you're looking at like over 7 years and a half, like 7 years and 6 or 7 months, like a tremendous amount of time between the end of season 8 and this episode coming up. It's really crazy. Michael Dammer says, how do you feel about Scott Gimple writing the movies? Well, he wrote this episode. He wrote episode 5 with Matthew Negret, and I'm sure everything they're doing is probably him planning the whole thing out. To be honest, like the movies, everything like that, everything we're seeing. I'm sure that he's probably more heavily invested in what they're doing with the whole Rick leaving thing and all this stuff than anybody else. So at least he saved Rick, right? I guess. So, but I'm fine with that. Obviously, he's responsible for Shane. We just saw Shane, and without Gimple writing Save the Last One and kind of really fleshing out the TV series version of Shane, and John Bernthal too, and Andrew Lincoln as well. It's not just one man type of show, but he's done so much work on The Walking Dead. Even if people don't like the recent decisions in recent years, like the Carl stuff, even still, I mean, he helped create a lot of what the Walking Dead television series franchise, Fear the Walking Dead, right now. Without the characters that he helped mold and create and all the work that he did, I don't know if The Walking Dead would still be kind of like around almost at all, in the way that it is now. Who knows? It could have even been, who knows what would have happened, right, after a few years. Because he took over in 4, finished at the end of 8 for show running, but he's still heavily involved. It's not like he's not heavily involved with the episodes. He clearly is. I mean, Angela Kang is show running Walking Dead, but it's pretty obvious that he's probably just as busy, if not more busy, than he's probably ever been for Walking Dead before. Probably even more so now than almost ever. And the last one will be from Connor R, who says, A equals alive, B equals barely alive. Rick was an A, but now he's a B. Well, apparently Gabriel is... I don't know, A or B. Maybe it does mean bitten, because maybe what Jadis was saying was that, what did she say? I thought you were a B, and then you're an A, I don't know, man. It's what was she gonna do something with? I don't know, man. leave your predictions below, man. I don't know. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, that'll be it for today's Q&A, guys, for Walking Dead videos. Check out all the videos we did this weekend. Discussion about the movies, review for what was one of the best episodes of Walking Dead ever, maybe the best, and predictions for episode 6 with the time skip. All kinds of stuff. Links will be in the description and in the end videos for you guys. Check them all out. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. I'll see you soon.